Welcome to Daggers and Shadow Daddies.
We're your hosts, Ryan and Adriana.
Strap in and strap on.
Warning, this podcast contains explicit content. It's all vibes and no facts.
Prepare to be spoiled.
Wait, no, these are spoiler-free episodes.
We might still spoil you.
This was a close one for you DNFing this book.
I was so angry. I went and took, 5 minutes?
You started pacing. You left the room, walked around,
Okay, yeah.
got a drink of water after you heard that Tairn took a breath.
Yeah, I waited. And then I was really mad.
You were furious.
I don't get angry that often.
You almost DNF'd the book just on principle that it almost happened.
Yeah, it pissed me off. And what's weird is I'm not an angry dude. I get angry so seldom, I wasn't sure what to do with my feelings in that moment. I was so pissed. I was like, that's it. The next picture Adri takes of this book is going to be halfway through chapter 10. Will be cut out the rest of the book, and then I'll burn those pages.
I love that she didn't end chapter 10 in the center because...
On that cliffhanger?
Yeah.
I would have fucking not read chapter 11 or the other two books. That'd have been the end of this series. You're on notice, Rebecca. I'm not even joking. If it happens in this book, this is the last book in this series. We don't see Andarna die. We don't see Tairn die. Those are really the characters I'm super attached to. She already took one. I'm not sticking around for 1/3 of the best characters.
And I think chapter 10, she for sure said he took a breath several times, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was breathing. He was just knocked out. It was clarified. But still, fuck Rebecca. I was so mad. I don't think I've ever been that angry at a book.
No, as we're listening, I could hear the scene kind of happening and going that direction. And I'm giggling because I'm like, haha, what fun. And you're getting visibly angry. And then I'm really taking in the moment as Tairn is falling. And then I just said...
He was limp.
Yeah.
He went limp. And I was pissed.
I set the phone down and we just sat there in silence, listening to the scene. It was no longer like, haha, what a little scare.
Fun.
No, it was a huge scare. And I truly believed he died halfway through. Yeah, halfway through.
I was sincerely ready to tell you, just shut it off. You can put on headphones. I'm done. I am not even a little bit kidding. If Tairn dies, I'm done with this series. Period. You know something?
I don't know anything.
Don't you dare.
I have a smile because it's a funny scene. You get emotional over it, but it's also not funny because I would be so sad.
Yeah, hilarious. I'm hurt. Yeah. I'm glad we can all have a laugh. Have a laugh at the funny man who's crying. Oh, look at the crying clown. Throw a tomato. Get out of here. It was so sad.
It was so sad. I cried. This scene got 2 tears out of me.
2 tears, 1 out of each eye, or did you double down on 1 ball?
1 out of each eye.
You weren't that touched. Liam almost got that out of me.
Really?
I don't cry.
Did you cry?
Often.
Did you cry in this scene?
No. Like I said, I don't often cry. I tend to express my feelings in other ways, like pacing and changing what I'm doing so that I don't have to dwell.
Almost starting the car and leaving this cabin.
I nearly did. I was so mad. I was like, I need to do something else. And also, we're up here by ourselves. We don't have any kids. So I'm just running around here in the buff. I'm not going outside probably. It's snowing out there. I'm not going to get dressed and then leave. I was too angry to put clothes on and also too angry to listen to more of the book in that moment. As I recall, as soon as we heard him breathe, I told you have to pause this. And then I went and walked away.
And then we came back.
And it was the best fucking ending of a chapter ever when we get to it. It was incredible.
As we went to go get breakfast, you were very excited about learning more about what's her name?
Thermopylae or something like that.
Thermopolis.
Nope. What is it?
Theophany?
Theophany?
Theophany.
There we go. Goddamn. Such a cool villain. We need to wait to get into her. We have to start at 6 and work our way up. My emotions are way too high.
The end of chapter 5 was Violet says, if you're going to wield, it's me you're dealing with. So badass. Chapter 6, there's a little excerpt that says, never turn your back on a rider. I don't know what this references in chapter 6, but I think it's a type of foreshadowing that I'm just not able to pick up on yet. Violet cracks lightning across the sky, which I thought was a really interesting way of showing control of where she can threaten and not strike in front of you, or where that she's gained control, that she can keep it up in the sky and create thunder and be intimidating.
Well, to be fair, the lightning creates the thunder, right?
Yes, but I guess if she's using her Darcidius magic, she's not creating thunder.
Which is a bit of a plot hole, I think. It should be.
Tiny little booms every time she shocks somebody.
During an arc flash, like industrial electric stuff, right? Three-phase electrical, all this kind of stuff where you're throwing hordes and hordes of voltage out there. Those arcs make noise.
Oh, but they don't make thunder.
Maybe I don't understand enough of how it all works to have that discussion, but
Violet
should make a noise.
Violet is badass.
Yes.
And she gives her speech to prove why the fliers should be accepted. Devera shows up and agrees that fighting a shared enemy is a better objective for both sides.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yep.
Situation. Devera also gives everybody an erection, including the women.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
You didn't notice that?
I didn't notice. Nope.
Yep.
I think there was somewhere in here that Riddick was like, were you guys watching the entire time? And she's like, yeah, it seemed like a safe place for this to happen.
Outdoors. We're just glad you guys weren't fucking up in the halls.
Somebody shares lightning and shadow are 2 of the 6 signets in the Great War, and this is the first time that they have been seen simultaneously given.
It's the first time they are simultaneously present
after
in this world.
Yeah, after Violet gives her speech, Kat sees why Xaden chose her. They're walking together as they're going into this meeting. She sees Xaden, and his eyes flicker to Dain, and Violet senses his jealousy.
Yeah.
And it was really sad because it makes sense more so now why he would be jealous of Dain, especially when you related it to Rogue in X-Men. She was very jealous of other girls. Specifically, they went by Ellen Page at the time in X-Men. Do you remember that character? Who was that?
Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, and Rogue was very jealous of her. It would make sense that Xaden would have these fears and see Violet with Dain and be like, would she be happier with somebody she could have a relationship with? Xaden can't touch her.
Xaden can't touch her.
Well, he can, but he shouldn't, is what he's going through in his head.
We've been through this. Come on, Riorson. Put on your Violet riding gloves and touch her a little. It's fine.
But Xaden's not thinking of that.
Oh, yeah, a great strategist. I'm just teasing.
He's feeling really insecure.
I know, and actually I feel bad for Xaden in this book.
Yeah.
So far, it's weird. I've really flip-flopped again where I'm like, I do like Xaden. Also, he's not the one keeping secrets anymore. That helps.
It is Violet now.
Yep.
She hasn't told him, but Xaden, I think, told her, I don't want to know these things.
This is so much better. The relationship oddly seems more healthy with him as a Venom.
Whatever.
You don't think so?
No, and then all of this talk of Halden, he's clearly an ex. There is something about him.
Oh, yeah.
Xaden is going to be jealous again?
Oh, Xaden's gonna feel jealousy. Oh, God.
Violet is going on this little, what did Riddick call this? The quest squad.
Yeah.
With her ex.
Yeah. Xaden's gonna be jealous. It sucks.
And we saw how he reacted to finding out that she went outside of the wards.
What do you think Xaden's not coming with, is my other thing with this. Sigale and Tairn cannot be away for months while they're out looking for this. Xaden will be there.
He will be. Oh my God, that's even worse. And
no, it's not worse. It's better.
This is when they're going to be sparring. There, I told you there was a comment where Violet's like, well, you're not sparring with any of my exes. I'm like, oh my God, Xaden's going to be sparring an ex.
He's going to drain him. From the balls.
Ooh.
Was that a problem for you? Come on. Xaden's like, I can't get Violet there, but I can do it, through the process of, what do you call that? It's the transitive property. He gets Violet off, Xaden gets him off.
I am lost on where you're going with this because my heart right now is feeling bad for Xaden and his insecurity.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I should get back into that. Oh, Xaden's feeling insecure. Oh, I like that Xaden's feeling insecure. I also like Xaden, but it's great that he finally has a moment where he's, not just too awesome for everything going on.
We're actually not that far ahead of where we need to be anyways. They all gather about the treaty. Xaden is very touchy. He's holding hands and then he pulls away. And then he's touching her back and then he pulls away. And to me, what I am hearing is he wants to be near her, but also wants to keep her safe from himself. And he's back and forth on this.
It reminds me of like when you're napping and I want to be close to you and I'm like, I'll just pet her hair out of her eyes a little bit. But I'll try to do it real gentle. And then like if you move, I'm like, oh. And then you quit touching for a little bit. And it's like, oh, I should just like touch her back a little bit so she knows she's safe. And then you'll move a little bit and I'm like, oh, don't touch. She's going to wake up. You know the game where you pet the wiggly thing in Mario Party?
Yes.
How many pets can you get before he gets angry at you?
Yeah.
That's sort of what I believe Xaden's playing in this situation. He's the Mario Party guy, just petting the wiggler. He's just like, okay, 3 pets. Violet isn't angry yet. I haven't drained the life from her yet. Okay, we're going good.
And we learn about Halden. He is somewhere nearby. I thought we would have seen him. I'm assuming he's in Biscaya, but they didn't cross paths.
Correct.
Okay. Violet is getting upset. And Andarna is like, what's going on? And Tairn is amused. Tairn knows what's going on.
He's like, Halden, huh? That name sounds familiar. I think I've seen this somewhere in your mind. Here's the thing. When they say Halden, clearly nothing crazy pops up in her head. Because Tairn's not like, oh shit, we got to put up a wall.
Almost anger. She seems like I don't know. I guess I don't know what to think of how their relationship would have ended or what's going on with him.
Valid. I don't know either.
I don't want to make assumptions yet.
Oh, okay. I assume it didn't end well.
Clearly not. We learn a little bit about Andarna's demands for this quest. They met many of them, but they did not agree to mess with the wards for the fliers, despite the example that Mira presented. I love that you explained that because in this scene, I would have been very confused of what the hell that disc was for, other than it's just to show that they can tease apart some of the runes.
Yes.
But they did agree to a full pardon. They will not test on Andarna, and she is allowed to hunt in the King's Forest. And that was such a cute detail.
Yeah, she's like, I put that in there just for funsies.
And not protecting the fliers means breaking Tercarus's deal. Violet would lose access to the library, and there would be consequences for Xaden.
Well, there would be consequences for the riders.
By losing all the fliers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they've reassembled their squads around this group of people. To lose them all, they're a little unit now. I felt for Violet in this. I was like, what the fuck? They're going to try to rip apart your little family you made? No. And then she immediately goes back into treason. She's got a real default.
Yeah. I was very lost on what she was doing. You were picking up the tiny details because I'm like, what's happening? He's like, she's going to go commit treason. I'm like, by doing what? And you're like, it comes back to the disc. I'm like, oh, okay.
I would like to add, I made one prediction that turns out to be super true. I don't know if I made it at all during the podcast.
Which is?
Who's the general now?
Atos. And generals have extra power, authority. Maybe that's the thing.
They have authority over Bisgaiath, period.
And that comes in later in reassigning her. At the end of all this meeting, Violet goes and talks with Xaden. Xaden is given his father's sword in order to keep them all there, but that wasn't the only thing. And I keep rewinding it 30 seconds. And you're just like, he's the king. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They haven't told us. I'm so confused.
He's
you're like,
of Tyrrendor.
Yeah. They give it all back to him. I'm like, why is he begging her to keep a promise? What promises are we keeping, Xaden? What does she need to get? I didn't understand. And at the end of this chapter, chapter 6, he says he loves her and that the king gave Xaden back his title and all of Tyrrendor.
Yes. At the time where he does not want it because it's outside the wards. He's, Venin.
I thought that was the only reason was because he was Venin that he didn't want it.
I think that's it. Yeah, I would agree with you. But he's gonna try to marry Violet to make her the Duchess of Tyrrendor. So if he fucks up, she can step in and run the place.
And what I got from this promise is that he's making her promise that she will be the one that sounds the alarms of if he goes too far becoming Venin and protecting everybody from him.
Yep.
Chapter 7 is Lyra's journal. She believed that all who channel from dragons or griffins should flourish under the Ration wards.
Yep.
I think any wards, but she was committing treason by providing them the Aeration wards.
So I think what happened is they did the wards at Besgaiath, and they excluded the flyers, and she was kind of pissed about that. So she's like, our next ward will allow the Griffin flyers also to be safe from venom and operate their magic.
Because in the last book, they thought the wards failed because they could still use their powers. Based off of this little section, I'm assuming even if they get another Andarna to power up that ward stone, the flyers will still be able to use their signets.
Yes, that's true. But the reason that they confirmed that their ward still wasn't working properly was the wyvern.
Yes. Chapter 7 starts with Riddick wanting to be on the quest squad, and Violet's like, there's no quest squad. He's like, I'm pretty sure there is. There's just going to see an Andarna. And he's like, yeah, that's exactly what that is.
Yeah, Riddick is super stoked and he wants to be on the team. We forgot to include Aaric's little bit in the last chapter.
What was that?
So Duke Lindell, I think is his name. Do you know who Duke Lindell was?
I recognize the name, but there were so many names of royalty that was in that meeting, I was lost.
That was the foster family for Xaden and Garrett.
Oh, yeah. Okay, what about him?
So he was the guy who came out to tell Violet all this news.
Yep.
Right? And then he looks at Xaden with this big sense of pride when he gets Tyrrendor back, which is super cool. I thought it was a really sweet moment, actually.
And saying that your dad would be so proud.
Yeah. And Xaden's like, nope. My dad loved one thing more than me, and that was Tyrrendor, more or less. Violet still keeps assuming it has to do with a sword, which I don't understand. Like, the sword, it's a placeholder. Anyway.
I was right there with her. I'm like, what's the sword?
That's true. Okay. Never mind. Violet's awesome. So, Aaric is there with him while they're having their little walk and talk meeting. And Duke Lindell, or whatever his name is trying to get Aaric to go make himself known to the king and the kingdom that he's a dragon rider now. Then Aaric's like, excuse me, do you just want that done so that they don't assume my brother is like non-disposable, so that they know he's not the last one, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, hey, it wouldn't hurt. And he's like, yeah, you can fuck right off. I'd burn this place down before I'd help it out at all. I really liked his energy. And the only one he acknowledges in the whole group is Violet. He still hates Xaden. He still has no love for anybody but Violet.
And I think it was in this scene that him and Violet, when talking about Halden, they kind of side-eyed each other. And Mira is over in the corner, and she's looking at both of them.
Waiting for somebody to say some shit to Xaden. But no, it's not brought up. When would be a good time to bring this up, Violet?
There isn't a good time.
Later. This would have been a great time. Mind vibe him.
This might have been a good time.
Hey, you're the new Duke of Tyrrendor. You may want to know about this guy. I fucked him.
It makes sense this would be her ex. This is someone Xaden could easily be jealous of. And him getting the title of Duke of Tyrrendor is very fitting that Xaden is now elevated at least to a similar status to her ex, but
a lesser noble status.
Yeah.
I don't think Xaden's going to be threatened by Halden, other than the fact that he can touch her. That's it. That's the only area. He is still master of shadows and has a huge dragon. No pun intended. I think.
I didn't even catch that.
I'm just saying. I think if Xaden's thinking about this clearly, he's pretty secure in this. Her ex is an asshole. Everybody hates him.
But now that he's Venom, part of what he is losing is control.
Yeah.
That seems to be the running piece of what did Xaden lose of himself? His control.
It's what separates us from the animals.
Oh my God.
He's becoming an animal.
Violet starts her plan for stealing Sawyer to break the rune that allows the flyers to use their powers. Riddick gives Sawyer a pep talk, and that was really endearing. It's almost just like, your feelings are valid, but we need you. Let's
stop crying, motherfucker. You're a part of the group. Go get somebody else. I'm not good enough. You're great. Just quit crying. Get back into it.
Still holding out that he's still a rider and that he is going to get accommodations to be a rider. I would be very disappointed.
We've seen How to Train Your Dragon. Rebecca Yarros has seen How to Train Your Dragon. It's going to be fine. He'll hiccup his way into the story.
We just need Heaton back, who we have not heard from. Tairn then tells Violet she has the full support of the Aeration riot, and only the Aeration, not the Navarian riot. Is that kind of the separate? We now have the Empyrean is both riots, Or is it the Empyrean and now their separate group?
So think of the Empyrean as Navarre, right? Or even humanity. Think of the Empyrean as humanity. You have this overarching classification for all the dragons. And then you have each individual country. You have Navarre, Pormil, Lucerus. Maybe that's another. I don't know whether that's a city or a state. Doesn't matter. But you have all those individual groups. So now you have the Navarrian Empyrean riot, right? Each riot would be like a state or a country.
I guess I wasn't picturing it that way. I thought the Empyrean and Navarrian riot were the same thing because they separated and now Tairn is the leader of his den.
He's still a part of the Empyrean.
Okay.
The Empyrean allowed them to leave. They're still under the Empyrean umbrella. I think they are just a different country within that. Tyrrendor was a part of Navarre.
I'm following with that. They sneak down. Imogen does her thing, and
she recruits this group again. Ocean's 11, 2 hours. Not even 2 hours. She's like, okay, plan B, fuck it. Nobody thought it was weird when she immediately accepted that they didn't allow the fliers to stay. But it's like, okay, plan B. And then she's like, I better play it cool. And she's like, okay, I understand. Thank you for all your help. And they're like, wow, Violet's being really understanding. This is never the Violet we know.
I thought they had more negotiation pull and could have used that. But I think that Andarna was so eager to be on this quest that Andarna didn't want to risk it by being more demanding for the flyers to get this.
Oh, I don't think it matters.
No, it doesn't matter. And Violet already had a plan anyways if this ended up happening.
Yeah, I don't think Navarre would have gone with it no matter what Andarna demanded.
No, they probably wouldn't have. And she uses, what's his name? The infantryman that she chatted up in the last book.
I don't remember his name, but yeah.
He helps out. He's got everybody knocked out. They go in, talk to Sawyer. They get Sawyer out. They're walking through the halls and they're so lovely. They're like, if you want some help, let us know. Just very supportive friends. They go down the halls. Imogen's ahead of them. She's knocking people out and wiping their memories, except for one person who is Mira.
Yeah. She's like, I don't think you want me to knock this one out. Mira's like, wow, immediately, huh? Treason. How did I know?
Also, during this entire little mission, Marin doesn't know what's going on. She knows that she's needed. She knows that she needs to be here and doing something. She's like, what's going on? I think Riddick is the one who keeps reassuring her, just like, you're doing fine. Let's keep going. Mira then brings up treason, what you guys are doing. Mira's like, what the hell is going on? Imogen bumps her elbow into Marin and downplays the whole situation. And I turn to you and I'm like, do you think that she just wiped her memory of the whole treason statement just to make sure she complies with continuing this?
I hope not, but that would be hilarious. Just booped it real quick. Just, there we go. And we're back.
Imogen's not a touchy person unless you're getting suspicious of something.
I think Imogen and Marin are going to be kind of tight anyway.
That would be
the way
neat.
Their personalities would mesh would be cool. No, the other person that pops up out of nowhere.
They go into the room, and who is there? Brennan.
All the Sorengales, they were just destined to do treason.
And this was a roller coaster of emotions because as soon as Brennan is there, I started giggling because I'm like, oh, another sibling. And then it got really sad because Violet starts thinking about her mom. And I'm like, oh, this is actually a very serious moment between all of the siblings.
Yeah, I think it was heartwarming. They're all together.
Yeah.
They're at their best when they're against society.
Violet remembers her mom saying she will be with him soon. Do you think Violet's dad is alive?
No.
I don't think so either.
Or they find him living with a den of iridescent dragons. Could go either way.
What a wild turn of events if Andarna finds her family and Violet sees her dad.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be almost too much for a scene.
Well, we'll see. There was a scene in here that was too much for me. I can tell you right now. I don't put anything past Rebecca Yarros now.
Oh, right.
She's first with my feelings. I won't have it.
Sawyer begins the process. He's doing great. We learn in this moment they don't know which rune to get rid of.
They're doing process of elimination, which is a wild play.
And all they say is, I don't know what that one went to, but I don't think it's a problem.
Riddick says, I do kind of wonder what that one was.
Brennan,
well, probably not a big deal.
Brennan's like, well, let's try another one. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it is awesome. And through this process, you really understand why Navarre wouldn't have allowed them to do this.
It made way more sense in this scene. I'm like, why would they say no? We just proved to them nobody knows which rune.
What's really funny is imagine taking your car to a mechanic and you're like, well, it's doing this thing that I don't like. And they're like, well, let's just start taking parts off until it stops doing that. You'd be like, I don't think this is the idea. It's so funny.
This is definitely going to come back and kick them in the butt. Whatever that rune was for.
We don't know what that one was, but
there's definitely a reason. Marion can now wield, but no one knows about Barlow in this scene. Personally, I think someone should have been over there watching Barlow as they were doing this mission. Nobody's there. We're now in the battle room. The treaty is signed. The nobles are back to negotiating because Marion told her uncle what was going on, which then brought the treaty back onto the table or something like that. And Dain is still the wing leader of Fourth Wing. You had mentioned earlier that they rearranged everybody's squads. Colonel Atos charges in, claiming Violet is being charged of treason.
Yeah, and says, I have no son.
Yes.
And I'm like, wow, that's exactly what you expect out of him. What a dirtbag. And you're like, Dain turned out to be a much better dude than he had any shot at becoming. Because his dad is a tool.
Dain has now been disowned.
At least by his father. We don't know shit about Dain's mom.
We don't, but...
Maybe she's a Venom princess.
I doubt it.
Maybe all their parents are Venom. That would be hilarious.
I kind of feel bad for Dain.
No, that's what I'm saying, is Dain had a shitty life. His little lifeboat of kindness was Violet. So it makes sense why he was so overprotective of Violet.
And now he's lost his best friend and his dad.
But he is rebuilding trust with Violet.
Does Dain even have any friends right now?
Yeah, Violet. Probably some of the writers. People that weren't privy to his bullshit before. Or even some of the flyers, where they're like, hey, this guy has been pretty fucking helpful for us.
Maybe. I hope Dain has at least a friend. We just haven't heard.
Yeah, I think he does.
Chapter 8, there's an excerpt of everybody wants wisdom, but needs luck. Dain speaks to his dad, and his dad says, I have no son. That's in Chapter 8. We learn he is actually General Atos now. Brings Violet to the room of nobles, and Xaden is there, and they start mind vibing of...
Seems like, what the fuck? I said stay out of trouble, and 10 minutes later, you committed treason.
And he's like, you got a plan for this? And she's like, you signed that paper, right?
Yeah. I sure hope I do.
If only they were communicating and he knew to do this. They dismiss Atos out of the room, which I thought was badass. It was just so, what is the word? To put him down?
Oh, they established the pecking order real fast in there.
And he just...
They're like, you may be the boss of Bezgaia, but your authority is not recognized in Fort Kickass.
Exactly.
And they kick him out.
He just turns around and leaves. The wards are still intact against the Dark Wielders, and I think Xaden must say this out loud of, well, we know the wards are still working against them, and somebody's like, well, how do you know? And Xaden then mind vibes to Violet, well, because I am one, but then he says out loud, because Barlow is still here and nothing has changed over there. And then Xaden adds that he signed for the riot to stay, and Violet admits everything that she did, and the pardons were signed after she took down the rune.
Yes. Yeah, after she committed treason that night, the next morning, pardons were signed. I don't quite understand how pardons work to know if this is at all accurate. If you could be like, well, they're going to sign my pardon tomorrow. If I murder somebody today, I should be fine. I thought that there was normally like, oh, you're pardoned of this scope of activity.
I think the way it was worded was of all...
wrongdoing.
Not necessarily wrongdoing, all forms of treason, because what they did was treason when they left and did all of that. So they signed her off for treason.
But it's not defined by like within which window of treason.
Personally, I think that if I was one of them, I would be fighting that I signed under false pretenses of some kind.
I mean, at the same time, they don't really seem to care. They're like, fuck it, let's quit challenging her. Every time we tell her no, she goes behind our back and does something weird.
And she's the one that put them up. What are they going to do? You can't put the rune back. What's done is done.
And the queen is there.
Yeah.
She sounds
hot and badass.
right?
Because she's a queen and she's dressed essentially like a fighter is what I got from this. Her description was wonderful. Violet definitely took her time to admire this queen and really just soak it in.
soak it in and getting soaked. You know what I'm saying? Put enough wet floor signs everywhere. Violet's walking around that place.
Queen Mariah, that's her name.
Yes, like Mariah Carey.
Oh, yeah.
She got bouncy hair.
No. Why? This not Mariah. Mariah.
Could be Mariah.
We can go with Mariah.
Queen Mariah Carey. She's got super bouncy hair.
The queen brings up Violet's deal to protect the fliers in exchange to access Tercarus's library. The queen was incredibly impressed with Violet's dedication and offers Violet her library. She's like, I have actually a more impressive library than Tercarus.
Well, she said Tercarus is the most impressive library of anyone ever. And she's like, oh, sweet child. He has but the kindergarten section compared to I. And she's like, I will allow you into my library. And Violet's like, oh my God, thank you. Will you be there? We can read books together. I'll sit on your lap.
No.
Okay. We got different stuff out of this.
But Violet's getting the library, and she immediately is like, Jasinia's going to love this. And
No, Jasinia wasn't offered the library.
But Jasinia gets the benefits. The queen did note that she doesn't think that what Violet's looking for is going to be found anything about 600 some years ago.
Yeah, and Violet's like, well, I'll be the judge of that.
Atos is pissy with Violet still after they leave. He's like, you will suffer consequences for what you did. Brennan pops out. Atos, I would have assumed, knew about Brennan. He didn't. This is his first time hearing about Brennan.
Yeah, it's only been a couple days.
And Violet throws it in Atos's face that she is too badass for him to kill.
And her dragons are too valuable. She's too valuable. She's like, why don't you just go suck some eggs? Like, we're busy around here.
And Atos is like, true, but I'm going to send Rihanna's squad for 2 days in Samara.
Every week.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't catch that.
Every week, I believe. They're going to go to the outpost at Samara.
That's wild. That's a lot. It's like a day trip to get there and a day trip to get. That's 4 days out of the 7.
That's brought up. Yeah.
Oh, well, now I'm on board with how ridiculous
the
that
Griffin
is.
Flyers will be too exhausted. He is a good bad guy, too. Not as compelling as the next one. Oh, I think I may be in love with the next one.
Chapter 9. They show up exhausted to Samara. The battle is already over. Is it a captain, I think? We're going to go with captain. The captain there seems exhausted, fed up. He's like, really? General Atos, that's who got it? And he sent me cadets. It's almost like he feels like he is being punished also with this. Not just the cadets are being punished, but he's being punished by being given cadets.
Yeah, I think that's also a valid perspective.
He's like, what the fuck am I doing with
okay,
this?
we're all out here risking our lives, and now I'm stuck with you fucking idiots. Great. Thank you, Atos.
And as they're talking with the captain, he asks them to keep Tairn hidden. Hopefully they didn't see Tairn, but let's just try to keep him hidden anyways. The scene cuts. Just instant, like, let's go find a place to stay, find a room, and it cuts to a nightmare of Violet, in quotation marks, because I don't think it's Violet, losing the painting of her family. Everyone is sleeping in Xaden's room when she wakes up, as she recalls to Riorson telling Kat she must live because she is going to be the next queen of Tyrrendor.
Okay, so what's happening is there's fire. Blue fire in this nightmare.
In the dream,
that is
yep.
just engulfing this home. And she's trying to save things, and she can't. And then Kat is telling her to go, live, survive, get out of here, old Yeller style. And her friend's like, you're going to be the next queen of Tyrrendor. You must live, not me. And then she wakes up, and she's telling Riorson about this whole deal. But that's how that dream went. It was...
My guess is that's actually Marin's dream.
I don't know that it was even Marin's dream. It could have been Marin's mom. It could have been through the sight of anybody. Because what we learn is... Do I want to jump into it yet?
You can jump into whatever.
Okay. So what we learn is that the Lady Venin, with the tattoo on her forehead and the silver hair, I stand by. There's something weird going on here. Either that's Lyra, who became Venin and now lives forever, or she's Violet's great-grandma, or she's got something to do with Xaden. We don't know much about her yet, but she is so awesome. She brings up to Violet later that she let the children live and just murdered the parents. But as a courtesy, she let the children live.
But this is a trap to get Violet out of there, or to get them to this village.
Mm-hmm. It's a lure.
I still don't know what to think.
Doesn't even matter. We got to move on. We'll get to that later. It's Violet's second signet. She's an intrinsic, and she's zoning into people's memories or their lives or their dreams.
Yeah.
I think it happens when she's asleep because she is not in control of that signet yet.
Yes.
I don't think she's just a dream walker.
What we land on is we don't know what's going on with these dreams. I think that's for obvious reasons. I don't even have a guess because I didn't understand the dreams in the last book.
Well, then Violet wakes up and they see smoke coming from her parents' village.
Yep.
That lends itself to the fire we saw in the room in the dream.
Yep. So chapter 9 ends with there's been an attack at a small village where Marin's family is at, and they are headed to go save the people. Chapter 10. The excerpt is, without someone wielding weather, you are at its mercy. I didn't consider how important Lilith has been to their war strategy, essentially.
Yeah, she's like the most important, most powerful general.
We've run into multiple scenarios now where Lilith would have been very useful, and that we have obviously lost that.
Yeah, 100%. It also brings up that weather, being a great equalizer, is equal for both parties involved.
Yeah, anyone could be at an advantage or disadvantage or both or neither. It's all over the place. It's just chaos is added into this. When she crosses out of the ward, she knows that Tairn's power is deeper and just much more overwhelming than she's used to.
It's like wilder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As this is continuing, we one time had this little thought process of you have the source. It's not natural for humans to draw from the source, and that maybe it is natural for dragons to draw from the source. But given how everyone talks about Tairn, even how this Venom talks about Tairn, of Violet being bonded to two of them and having access to that much power, despite the Venom having access to the source, it's almost like dragons are their own little source of magic.
I don't know. I see it as how fortunate that you're able to have that much power through the filter of still having dragons, as opposed to it costing you your soul.
Oh, okay. That would make sense. And I didn't realize that the dragon's power is muted behind the wards.
Still affected, yeah.
Yep. Tairn is obviously freaking huge, so they were caught while leaving. Violet points something out ahead, and Tairn's like, yes, I too have eyes.
Yeah, it was a great moment. Oh, it was a great moment just before we thought the worst.
The town is on fire. There's wyvern everywhere. Tairn warns Violet not to channel more than she can hold. Why would this be any different than the last book when they're fighting the Venom then? The wards were down.
Yeah, but I think Violet now is so much more comfortable channeling. Like, I think there's an aspect of, you know, when you're driving on really good roads, right? You drive more whimsically. You pay less attention. You've got this and that going on. If all of a sudden the roads turn icy, it's not that you haven't ever driven on icy roads. It's you may have built complacency since the roads were really good until just now. And I think that's kind of what he's reminding her of.
Okay. He seems very worried for her that she's going to do it. She's going to overdo it. She's killing it at aiming. Doesn't even have a...
She misses once.
When?
The first strike. She throws misses, and then she's like, I got this. I'll do better. And he's like, so help me God, if you unbuckle this fucking saddle, I will drop you in a river, and we'll let your puny gods sort you out.
Her first strike, she landed. As they start moving, she does. And then he starts flying away and she's trying to turn around and they're too close. And there was a lot going on.
I don't know. I know she misses the first one. And then Tairn kills a wyvern. And then she kills a wyvern.
Okay. Yeah, he does. He threatens her if she unseats. He's going to do what? I don't know.
He's going to drop her over a lake and let their puny gods sort her out.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's what I'm saying. Is that is immediately after she misses. So her first strike misses and she's like, the fuck? So she's trying to get a better angle on this. And then he's like, so help me. Don't fuck around.
He's like, I brought you into this world. I'll take you out.
Exactly. Yeah.
She she spots the silver-haired Venom, and the Venom waves at Violet.
Yeah.
It's so petty.
Oh, it's cool.
And Violet realizes it's a trap. Then there's a tornado, a dragon tornado?
Well, a tornado that happens to bring dragons to it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like a Sharknado, but with dragons.
It becomes that for a brief moment. There are 2 dragons we're aware of he is sucked into it.
Given how badass this Venom is, she has essentially 2 signets, the distance walking thingy and lightning wielding. Did she command the weather to create?
She also did the tornado. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. She seems to just be collecting signets.
Whoa, I didn't think of it that way.
Well, Lilith dies. Now we've got tornadoes. Why didn't those come up during the battle at Besgaiath?
There were tornadoes during that.
Were there?
Yeah, there were.
I don't remember there being tornadoes.
But
I remember Lilith commanding the weather and it be foggy and shitty. And then Lilith being like, fine, I'll kill the rain so that everybody can fly better.
I thought at one point there were tornadoes going on. And they had to like watch out for them.
I don't remember that, but that sounds cool.
Violet is shocked that Garrick is there. At this point, I'm like, was he not invited? I thought Garrick could have been there the whole time. Her being shocked is what made me realize Garrick shouldn't be there. They get sucked into the tornado. They fall. My next note is not about the book. It's about you and me. We are literally frozen. We just laid there silently listening to the book. Ryan was stressed until we heard Tairn is breathing. That would have been the end of the book for you. You left the room after hearing Tairn took a breath.
Yes. Yeah, no, that would have been.
I didn't understand why the bond was completely like dark. And then Andarna's just like, why the hell is it dark? What's going on? What happens when Tairn is sleeping?
Here's the thing. Violet must be the connection between Andarna and Tairn as well. Because Andarna's like, I can't feel his bond either. And then Violet's like, fine, open it up all the way. And then she's like, oh, there's a hint of the bond. Like the faintest line of the bond is still intact, a little thread.
That's what Violet felt. I guess I took Andarna's to mean from dragon to dragon. I don't feel anything.
I thought that too, other than she said she couldn't feel anything. And if she couldn't feel anything, she didn't feel anything until Violet did, basically.
Yeah, maybe Andarna's bond with Tairn is different because of Violet. I didn't think of that. Yeah, because they can shut each other out and talk, but they probably don't have a bond.
Correct. I think they have the mental awareness that all dragons do, like a telepathy and awareness thing. But I think her primary bond with Tairn is through Violet.
That makes a lot of sense because it's a really big deal to have bonded dragons, and they would also be tethered in that same way. And Andarna is also tethered to Tairn because of Violet.
Yeah.
They have their fall, and it is the longest, horrible fall.
I want to talk about this.
Well, I'll talk a little bit about it.
You talk about it.
He's falling. I think she uses language like his neck is in an unnatural position at one point. Last time we heard that, someone didn't make it. Tairn, with his last bit of strength, covers Violet up with his wing to protect her as they're falling. They get to the bottom. His wing flops open. She's at a 90-degree angle. Garrick is also somewhere. His dragon is knocked out. He comes and he helps her. Her leg is destroyed. It's ruined. No, her leg is dislocated. And we learn that Garrick was sent by Xaden. How did Xaden know that she crossed the wards?
I believe... I have no idea. I don't know how Xaden knew. I have no idea. But I know what aaric signet is now.
You still think this is aaric, right? That has
aaric is the distance wheeler.
I think Xaden and Garrick are wherever the hell they're at. Xaden has a tether to the Venom. The Venom that lured them out of Samara is how I think Xaden knew that they were in danger and that she crossed the wards and where Violet is at. So he knows all that's going on. Xaden is losing control in a way that Garrick is actually scared. And he's coming to Violet of something's wrong. This is not good. I've never seen him lose control like this. He lost it. And it seemed like Garrick was even a little scared with what he saw. You're thinking that aaric is a distance wielder and is who brought Garrick to that location.
Yeah, I think he opened his little portal thing, and he's like, you go through there and you're going to be close enough to where Violet's at.
How badass that he can transport a person and a dragon, if that's the case.
I think it's super badass, and I think that's why he doesn't want people to know what his signet is.
He's keeping it all quiet.
Saying, nobody knows what the fuck his signet is.
Nobody's like pulling.
He said, I haven't got one yet. And everybody's like, oh, okay. No, Aaric has a signet. He hates everybody but Violet. He doesn't want to be used as a tool for Navarre. Why would he?
That makes perfect sense.
He's a distance wheel.
But nobody is questioning him not having one. Like, come on, let's sit down. We need to talk about this. You're going to die if you don't have one.
Yeah.
I like that theory.
I think every time he showed somebody, he's convinced Imogen to wipe their memories.
Maybe.
That would be cool.
Depending on how quick he is. But it's not a speed thing. It's just you get from one location to another without.
Yeah, it's like teleportation.
Yeah, it's like that. Garrick never did answer the question. Garrick is worried about Xaden because he lost it, which is very unusual. The silver-haired Venom used lightning because Garrick is like, all right, Violet, you proved your point. And Violet's like, that wasn't me that just struck that in front of us. Garrick is a wind wielder, but it sounds like he wasn't really able to use it against a tornado.
I think she's a more powerful wielder.
Yeah.
She is fucking cool.
Badass. And Violet
She's got all the superpowers.
And I was just going to say, Violet points out that Venom are not supposed to have signets.
Yeah. And she's got them all.
So far, 3, I think.
No, like more, because she also picks Garrick up.
Yeah, whatever the hell that was.
With just her force powers.
And Garrick's just like floundering, terrified. And Violet even points out his kicks are getting more furious. And he's just kicking at his little legs.
Yeah, he's concerned and, being choked out. And this lady is so chill about everything. She's like, hey, you and me, we're going to be tight. This is my name. I owe you that. I let those boys live in that house.
Yeah, she's like, you should thank me.
Yeah, she's like, it was in good faith. She's like, I needed you here, so I had to kill somebody, but I didn't kill off the young ones. So far, she's not even as bad as Anakin Skywalker.
True. She's like, I only killed their parents. It's not even a big deal.
And her hair matches Violet's. It's not a no reason for that. And she knows everything about Violet Sorengale. And it reminded me of the moment where Tairn's like, I know exactly who and what you are, Violet Sorengale. It was that same.
It was like that. And then she kind of plays it off. She's just like, you bonded 2 dragons. Why wouldn't I do research on you?
And she's like, don't you feel like the luckiest girl? Like, she's so fucking personable. It's everything I had hoped for at the end of the last book. I'm like, I want there to be a really compelling villain who is not necessarily likable, but you don't just hate them because they're just evil. She, so far, in the, 3 paragraphs we've really had of her, is doing it for me. She's amazing.
And sharing her name was like a personable but evil moment. I don't know how to describe it.
She pointed it out. She's like, I owe you this. You should know my name. We're going to get to know each other. I'm going to ask you some questions. You're going to want some stuff in return. Hey, another good faith thing. Why don't I not murder this guy? And she drops Garrick. She's like, there you go. You got your boy back.
All in exchange for asking Violet, who bonded you first?
Yeah.
Why is that useful? I never even considered this question.
We're going to want to know the answer to why this is useful, and that's why I didn't want to end in chapter 10.
You have yourself to blame for that.
You took 14 hours to let me listen to this book again. You're killing me.
Violet even starts reeling over second signet, and she draws power from Andarna because she cannot from Tairn right now. And she's like, I need a second signet. And Andarna's like, you have no one to blame but yourself. I am not in control of this. But if it's the dream thing, I kind of just chuckled of like, Violet, you're kind of screwed right now. There's nothing you can do.
I don't think she can only see people's dreams.
It's just a way that it's being expressed right now when she's not in control of it.
Well, I don't think anybody else was dreaming about the fire in her parents' house. I think that was something that was happening. I think she's seeing through somebody else's perspective, perhaps in the future, but also maybe she's seeing, like with Xaden, she was probably seeing Xaden's dreams, but we don't know that he had that dream the same night.
In the small detail that you pointed out in one of those dreams, the Venom says you are going to take down the wards And I started wondering, was that dream actually Barlow's? There was a dream that was Xaden's, and now we have this dream as somebody else. Because Barlow did take down the wards, and Xaden did turn for love.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is what I'm saying. And we believe, what's-her-name's parents to be dead.
Yeah, I'm going to believe Theophilus, whatever her name is.
Theovonopoulos.
Theovon.
We're going to believe Theovon. I don't know, man. She sounds so cool. And Violet's like, she's got a rockin' bod, but she's got paper-thin skin, and she's real veiny.
She does point that out. She's like, if she wasn't so venomous-y, or whatever you want to...
She'd be a sexy bitch.
Yeah, she would be smoking hot.
Yeah, she's got full lips and a nice rack.
She's got to keep her away from Xaden with that silver hair.
And she's venom, they're matching.
Oh, how wild if Violet gets jealous of this woman with Xaden. She's like, oh, she can be venom for him.
Wouldn't it be kind of lame if Xaden gets all venom-y and pasty?
That's the thing. Xaden's got to stay good looking. He can't, like, turn venom.
What's wrong with being veiny and pasty white?
No, nothing wrong.
It's a veiny, pasty white boy.
Xaden even points out, he's like, I could be a maven. I could go through these ranks and I would still always love you. I'm like, Xaden, why are we thinking like that? Stop it.
To be fair, Xaden should be thinking, they're going to have to make a new rank for me, baby. Maven ain't got me covered. As an initiate, I'm more powerful than the last Maven. Now, to be fair, that last guy didn't have dick for power compared to this lady.
She is
This
badass.
lady could overrun all of those people in Navarre. If it was that big of a deal to the Venom, I think this person's like an independent contractor. That's what I'm getting from this.
She's just kind of doing her own thing.
I don't think she's like part of the Brotherhood. I think she's like a separate entity of the standard Venom entities that we're aware of. I think she's like, oh, I kind of do what the fuck I want. Maybe she's the Queen Venom.
Maybe. I think her coming into this scene is what fixed your mood after the Tairn situation.
It did. It was the healing I needed, and I feel like Rebecca Yarros is toying with me a little. Like she knew how to tear me up, and then she knew how to build me up and put me back together. And normally I'm really into that, but not the way she did it.
And all in one chapter, so that was nice.
Yeah, I wish this chapter would have been like another 25 pages long.
Well, it turns out you can read 5 more chapters.
There are 66, so we have an uneven number. So we get one buy round where we get 6 chapters.
True, you better choose carefully.
Fuck, should have been last night.
I love you.
I love you so much.
You are my bestie.
You are my bestie. It was a great time. We had fun. Now get out and go live your life.
No, wait. No. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate and love you all. Please follow us here, TikTok or Instagram at Yarros.Podcast.
And then go live your life.
Bye.
Bye. Get out. We're done. This was Daggers and Shadow Daddies. Now it's my time. Toodaloo. It was fun for us. I hope it was fun for you. But that's all we've got. Goodbye. Come back in a few days. We love you.